Little girl ran to the bikers crying, "They're beating my mom." What the bikers did left everyone in silence. Before we dive in, drop a comment and let us know which city you're watching from. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a story. Enjoy the story. The morning light crept gently over Willow Creek, a sleepy highway town where truck engines hummed louder than the church bells. At Marty's Diner, the air smelled of coffee and fried eggs, and laughter rolled out from a group of bikers gathered outside, the Steel Vultures Motorcycle Club. Their leather jackets were heavy with patches and dust from the open road. People in town whispered about them, but few knew their real stories: men who'd been soldiers, mechanics, wanderers, all bound by loyalty and the road. The peace of the morning shattered when a high, panicked cry echoed across the street. Heads turned. From the edge of the gas station, a little girl in a green gown came running barefoot, tears streaking down her cheeks. Her small hands trembled as she pointed toward the woods. "Please," she sobbed. "They're hurting my mama." For a long second, no one moved. Then Jace Rowland, one of the bikers, stood up slowly. Broad-shouldered and quiet, Jace wasn't the kind of man who ignored pain. He crouched in front of the girl, his voice calm but full of concern. "Where is she, sweetheart?" The girl swallowed hard. "At the old cabin by the creek. 2 men came, she told me to run." Jace's jaw tightened. "Ryder, Blade, let's go." Engines roared to life. Gravel spun beneath the tires as they tore down the narrow forest road. The girl, shaking, was brought inside the diner, wrapped in a leather jacket by one of the bikers. Through the window, she watched the red taillights disappear between the trees, whispering a trembling prayer. Inside the woods, the road grew rough and lonely. Jace leaned forward on his bike, the wind biting his face, his mind locked on the thought of a terrified woman waiting for help. He didn't know her name, but something deep inside told him that this ride mattered more than any before. The forest around Willow Creek was quiet except for the echo of engines. Sunlight filtered through tall pines, striping the dirt road with gold and shadow. Jace led the pack, his instincts sharp. The little girl's words replayed in his mind like an alarm, "They're hurting my mama." When they reached the cabin, the sound of shouting broke the stillness. Without slowing, Jace leapt off his Harley, boots crunching the gravel. A woman's scream split the air. He slammed his shoulder into the door, the wood burst open. Inside, chaos. A drunk man towered over a woman, his fist raised. She was cornered, bruised, trembling. Before the man could strike again, Jace's hand shot forward, grabbing his wrist mid-swing. One hard twist, then a punch that dropped him flat. The other bikers stormed in, restraining him with ease. "Blade, get her out," Jace ordered. The woman stumbled toward the door, gasping for air. Her name was Lena Carter, and her face was streaked with fear and relief all at once. Outside, the sunlight felt strange, too bright after the darkness inside. She looked back as the man cursed from the floor. Jace stood over him, voice low but steady. "You don't ever touch her again." Sirens began to wail faintly in the distance. Someone must have called the police. When they arrived, Jace didn't move, didn't run. He just stepped back, hands raised, calm as stone. The officers cuffed the man, dragging him away. Lena turned toward Jace, tears spilling. "I didn't think anyone would come." Jace's hardened face softened. "She made sure we did," he said, nodding toward the forest trail. Moments later, the little girl Sophie came running, crying out, "Mama." Lena fell to her knees, clutching her. Around them, the bikers stood silent, their engines idling like guardians of the road. By afternoon, Willow Creek was buzzing with the story. People whispered about how the Steel Vultures had stormed into danger to save a woman and her daughter. At Marty's Diner, a crowd gathered as the bikers returned, dust rising behind their tires. Lena stepped down from the back of Jace's motorcycle, her knees weak but her spirit steady. Sophie clung to her hand. The whole diner went silent when they walked in. Even Marty, who'd seen everything in his years behind the counter, just stood there, stunned. The bikers removed their jackets and placed them around the woman and child. It was a quiet act, but it said everything. One of the officers from earlier nodded respectfully before driving away. For the first time, Willow Creek saw the Steel Vultures for what they really were, not outlaws, but men who carried honor on two wheels. Sophie looked up at Jace, her small voice soft but sure. "You saved my mama." He smiled faintly, eyes glinting in the afternoon light. "No, kid. You did. You ran when it mattered." Weeks passed, and life slowly found its rhythm again. The townspeople helped Lena find an apartment. The bikers checked in often, bringing food, fixing things, sometimes just sitting quietly with a cup of coffee while Sophie laughed nearby. One sunny Sunday morning, Sophie ran outside holding a crayon drawing. "Look," she beamed. The picture showed 3 motorcycles, a little girl, and a tall man kneeling beside her. At the top, she had written, "My heroes." Jace studied the drawing for a long time. Then, carefully, he folded it and slipped it inside his vest pocket. "That's staying with me," he said, his voice low. As the bikers rode off down the open road, sunlight caught their chrome and turned it to gold. Behind them, Lena and Sophie watched in silence, the wind carrying only one truth. Even the hardest hearts can hide the kindest souls. Thanks for watching, see you in my next video, bye.